Hi, and welcome to Module 2.3, the final module for Module 2 for website design. So until Module 3, so Module 2, in our last one here, we are going to touch on a new topic that you would have read about in your learnings, which is something called Bootstrap. And we'll get into that in a second. So we've done plenty of HTML. We've done CSS. There's a thing called Bootstrap. Basically, we still use HTML and CSS, but it's a bit of an industry standard for creating websites. And like I said, we'll get into that in a second. So please make sure, as per usual, you have downloaded the files. So 2.3 instructions, the start zip and finish zip. We're just going to be using the start like we have always. Let's just have a quick look inside our folder. What's there already? There's an index.html. There is 3 folders. There's the CSS. This one's called custom.css when before we have been using stylesheet.css. Custom.css is the same thing. It doesn't really matter what we call it, but when we're dealing with Bootstrap, we generally call it custom.css. A PDF for a resume and images in there as well. Just note, we've called the images folder IMG here. I think previously we've called it images. So IMG and images, they do the same thing. We can use either. We just need to make sure that when we're kind of creating paths to these folders to link to the image, that we use the right name. That's all. Okay. All right. So just to touch on Bootstrap. Okay, that's what we're going to be creating today. I'll come back to that in a second. So bookmark this site. You're going to be needing it. It's called getbootstrap.com. It is a great resource of a lot of things. So there's documentation all throughout it, which we'll touch on today. You can also go to the W3 Schools site, and up the top here, there's Bootstrap, and you can see there's 3 flavors here. Bootstrap 5 is the latest one. So that's the one we're going to be working with. So click onto that. It gives you a bunch of information about it. It looks like a lot, but not too bad. Once you're going to break it down, it's not too bad at all. Another site I like to work with is this one called themeselection.com. And it's what we call a cheat sheet. So all of these things, again, it looks like a lot, but it really isn't when you break it down, is the Bootstrap classes available to you. But we'll touch on that in a second. Okay, so what does Bootstrap do? Well, it really just, like I said, we still build our sites with HTML and CSS. But as a web designer, if you build one site, you find, for a client, great. You might have another client, you build another site, have another client, you build another site. You'll find after a while that you're redoing a lot of the same things. Like there's navigations in there. Maybe there's like little snippets of information we call cards that gets repeated. Maybe there's like an accordion effect that gets repeated. So all these like little kind of, we'll call them components, get repeated. Yes, as a web designer, you could kind of have a repository or a library of all of those things and then kind of reuse them. But what some smart people have done is they've kind of created this one called Bootstrap that everyone can use. It's open source, so kind of free. And a lot of people can contribute to it and help keep the Bootstrap project going, I guess. And so hence it kind of gets used a lot of places. A lot of websites use this idea of Bootstrap. I've just kind of grabbed this kind of very generic, I think it's like a bit of a template site out there, which is looks like any site you might kind of come across. This one's a bit more kind of corporate. They can get a bit more fun and creative, but just showing you that a Bootstrap site isn't terribly anything different. But what it does is it has like a bit of a format to how we, look at a website. So traditionally with a website, we've got like a hero, this thing here, which kind of stands out to people, encourages people to kind of click on things or keep scrolling down to find out more information. We've got these like little doohickeys here, nicely needed in a bit of a grid column system. You might have videos, again, more information here, column of 3. More information, column, information, image, and it keeps on going like that. So it's a little bit formulaic. It follows a formula, and it kind of looks neat and tidy, and it also works as a responsive site too, which means that it works on like a mobile phone. So everything kind of changes a little bit so that it's easy to read and follow on other screens. So things kind of now go down rather than going across. All right, and we'll get to that in a second. So the site that we're going to do today is this one here. It's like a very kind of a basic site, what we call a Bootstrap site, using that technology, but it also uses HTML and CSS. And we just use Visual Studio Code to build it. We're going to start off with this, which doesn't look like much at all. So opening up the files, you will see there's the CSS, the images in PDF folder, the index.html. So this site's going to be just a single page to start off with. Now, to make something a Bootstrap site, just requires a little bit of code that's freely available to enable this kind of Bootstrap, which is basically, think that you've created a style sheet for yourself. Well, Bootstrap have basically kind of created a bigger style sheet, a bigger CSS file that has like different classes in there that will help us kind of create like these components that we'll reuse. So it also has a bit of scripting as well. So we need to connect to these files on Bootstrap. They're free. So you don't have to do this because our template already has it in, but I'll show you how you would do it. And that is go to getbootstrap.com. So getbootstrap.com. Come down here and you get a couple of links. So we're just talking about the CDN. You'd copy this first one. And then you come over here where it's got Bootstrap core CSS. So we're just in the head, closing tag, opening tag. So here is where you'd paste it. So it's already been pasted, which is good. All it's doing is it's kind of taking us to the cascading style sheet that's on the Bootstrap servers. That's all it is. All right. The other thing we need is this little script down here, copy. Now, we kind of haven't really worked with scripts before, but this one we don't need to do anything with. It just gets pasted down here, like so. What it does is, again, it links to a JavaScript file that sits on a Bootstrap server. And it just allows like some little kind of widgety stuff to take place. What's that kind of widgety stuff for components? Well, if we go to the Get Bootstrap site, for example, I won't click on the examples. I'll just go to search and type in, say, I do accordion because it's probably one of the most easiest ones to see how there's like a bit of functionality to it. So down here we have a whole list of components. Accordion, alerts, badges, breadcrumbs, buttons, cards, carousel, nav bar, drop downs, lots of stuff that kind of happens on normal websites, stuff that you might even not recognize yet, and that's okay. But accordion is probably something that you've come across on, FAQ questions. So just imagine this is like an FAQ question, and this is the answer. And this whole little component here is called an accordion. It requires Bootstrap CSS and also Bootstrap a little bit of scripting as well. So rather than you have to script anything, you're utilizing the power that's already been kind of created by a bunch of talented people, and they packaged it into this thing called Bootstrap. So I'll come back to this a little bit later to how we use these things, but I just wanted to show you that there is some kind of like actiony stuff in there. Okay, so that is why we need to put in these links. So every page on your website, every HTML page needs to have not that one there, this one down here, the Bootstrap core added to it. All right, so let's go to our instructions. We're going to revisit, the first thing we're going to do is revisit adding Google Fonts. In this case, we've got body in our H2, H3, H4, H5, etc. We're going to give it some typefaces. Now, it's asking for Oswald and Montserrat. How do we get those? Well, we can do this. And by all means, you can choose your own typefaces. Go to fonts. Go to fonts.google.com. And now you can choose whatever fonts you want, but I'm going to choose the fonts that it's suggested just to make things a bit more easy. Actually, let me just, I've been here before, so I'm just going to clean up my little cart thing. Okay. So Montserrat, it gives us some examples. So lots of nice different weighting of typeface. Click on Get Font, and then we search for another one. So click back, and the other one is Oswald. Okay, and click on Get Font here. So once I get font, I go to the little bag up there, and at the moment it tells me I've got 2 typefaces. So I'm going to use this one for the headings and this one for like just the regular typeface. I go to Get Embed Code. So Get Embed Code. Now you can see Montserrat and Oswald here. I'm going to start with the first one. Actually, I'm going to start with this here. So this is the general code we need for all of the typefaces that we've chosen. So basically, you want to make sure that you choose all the typefaces in one go. You can edit it later on if you want to, but it's easy if you pick out all the typefaces that you're going to use. Generally, for design, we choose like anywhere between 1 and 3 typefaces. 2 is generally the sweet spot, headings and just regular body copy. But maybe a third one if you want like your logo branding as a typeface or something like that. Anyway, so I'm going to copy that and paste it in here. So you can see the Montserrat in there and the Oswald. So it's just linking to some files on the Google servers that contain those little font files. The other thing we need to do is go to our CSS, and in our custom.css we look for, now I know it's a bit of scroll here, so our H1, H2, so it looks like they've already kind of put this in here. So this is our typeface, which matches this little bit of code down here. Now it looks a little different when you're copying from Google or Google Fonts. Just don't worry about this where it's got the selector up there with the font name. Just keep it simple. Use the font family, and with the font sizing and weight, you can change that yourself. Just grab this line here. The same with Oswald. I just grabbed this one here. So I pasted the Oswald over here. So I was a bit backwards before. So Oswald is going to be our headings, and Montserrat is going to be our paragraph, our lists, things like that, our anchor tags. So you can see they're put in there. Why the sans serif? Because that means without the little serifs. So you can see these are nice clean typefaces. If you had the little kind of caps on them, the serifs, they're going to be like your Times New Roman and things like that. So let's have a look. What does that look like? Bart Simpson, refresh, and we can see the font changed. Beautiful. Okay, let's keep going. And by the way, there's also this type tester you can kind of use as well. But remember to check the learning materials. There's lots of information in there about type, but also Bootstrap as well. So make sure you do the learning material. Designing a header. So let's do the header. We're going to look for the header that's already there, and we're going to replace it with this here. Good if you could type it out, but just for brevity of the video, I'm going to copy. From the start down to the bottom of the header here, and look for it in the index. There we go. Replace this. So you can see here we've got our bit of a heading, intro information, and our social links. So this here is our header at the moment. So it gets repeated down here in the footer, but that's our header up here. So what we've done is we've created a little bit of a grid system, whatever that means. So looking up here, let me scroll back up again, in our header, so header opening and closing, and it looks like I've got two closing tags there. Let me just get rid of one. Okay, so I'm going to format this as well. And always good to check the header lines up with the header down there, the closing tag. So we've got a div here which closes down there. Just before that, with the header, we've got container, we've got row, and then we've got column. Now they are a bit of a fixture of the grid system, so you've got to learn your material here through the LinkedIn Learnings or the rises provided to understand what is a container, what is a row, what is a column. Just to briefly summarize, I'm on to find the right one I had open before. Here we go. So getbootstrap.com. If you go into the documents and then look for the grid system, you can see this is kind of very similar to the code we've got over here, but it's a bit easier to read here. Let me make that bigger. So with our design, in general, when we're kind of wanting to keep consistency and also make things easier for us when we're designing, things aren't just kind of thrown onto a page. We generally like to keep things to something we call a grid. And in this case, we kind of use kind of this idea of columns. And maybe just to visualize, So on our page, say the desktop one here, we've got these kind of columns going down the page. So there's 12 going across here. It should be 12 anyway. 12 going across here, and a bit of empty space either side here just to kind of help with legibility and readability. So that's kind of like part of the grid system, is this idea of columns and rows. Now these are grid columns, there's 12 of them, but visually we might have just 3 columns. So here 1, 2, 3 columns going across. We can see here we've got a container, so a div container class. We've got a class of row, and we've got 1, 2, 3 columns. So div column, div column. So these are stacked, the columns there, but they're nested inside the row. Row there, starts there, ends there. So that's just kind of like a system we kind of follow. So it's just kind of like stacking and nesting. So in this case, in one row, we've got 1, 2, 3 visual columns. But just something to note that each of these columns overlaid on here is like 12 grid columns, but we'll get to that later on. But just for the moment, just keep in mind that this is very, very important to how we lay out our pages in Bootstrap, and the underlying concept of how things kind of get ordered and laid out on a page. And like I said, all of the websites out there that use Bootstrap, once you kind of see a few of them, you kind of see that kind of similar kind of grid system here. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we had like 12 grid system lines going through, each one will take up maybe 3. But I'll get to that in a bit. But just recognize that it's a very kind of neat system. There is a bit of logic to it. But anyway, let's keep going. So let's go back to our site. So we've got our Bart Simpson here. So there's a container. There is a row. And there is just one column. So this thing here is just one column. So if we wanted to do 2 columns, we're going to copy this here, content. So just the content part, paste it in, back to Firefox, and we don't have any column content in there at the moment, so let's just put some information in. Okay, refresh. And I know it's not very kind of interesting at the moment, but there's one column here and there's one column here. I'm actually just going to get rid of the numbers there for the moment. We'll come back to it and refresh. So if I get rid of those numbers in there, they kind of balance out. And now you don't need to do this. I'm just going to show you this just so you can get an idea of where they're going to start and end. Okay, so column 1 and column 2 go all the way out there. So just like that template I showed you before, the other example, you can see we kind of just like split things up. So we've got column 1, column 2, and we can put information inside there. So let's keep on going. We're going to create a part with some responsive imagery. So I'm going to go to where our heading 2 is. Okay, gone too far here. we've got to add this content in. So we're going to paste it into our first column. Okay, so here it is. First column, column 1 start. We're going to paste that in. So heading 2 about me, paragraph, some intro text there. And then we're going to add our image. So copy and paste that in there. So let's have a look at our site. Cool, so I got a bit of an image over here with some text in it. I'm going to get rid of this BG primary. All that was doing was just that it's a Bootstrap class giving it some color. But let's go back here, refresh. All right. So we're going to add some progress bars in as well. So I'm going to copy this. And these go into, actually let's do a bit more work on this instructions here. Keep forgetting. Okay, so let's just put that into, we're still on column 1. And we're going to do skills. And underneath our heading 2, we're going to do heading 3 for Microsoft. And a final one for this one here. Okay. And the instructions say we need to do an unordered list. And do one for LinkedIn. Okay. And we needed to do an unordered list for Microsoft as well. I'm going to copy and paste just to make things easier. All right, refresh, and we can see we've got some like list stuff going down here. I think I might have accidentally gotten rid of a closing div. Oops, wrong spot. That's all right. I just cut. I needed to put it before the closing div, so let's paste it in. And let's refresh. A lot of time doing these videos, and the type gets a little bit small sometimes. But let's keep going. Okay, it's all about making mistakes and fixing it. And there's never a person or developer or coder I've known that can do this without making any mistakes. So don't worry if you do. Just try and be on top of it so you can kind of fix it early-ish. That's why it's good to do the coding. And to maybe just check the site as you go. Okay. So let's put some code in to create progress bars. So if I click on this link here, it'll take us to the Bootstrap site that we were just on. A bit smaller. Now it's got these progress bars here that really are just kind of like 2 colors with like a bar going across it. They can do a number of things. In this case, we're going to use it to indicate our skill level at certain programs. So I'm going to this is the Adobe micro and social media. So let's copy this one. Actually, I think these are slightly, maybe not quite. These ones we need to modify. Maybe. Nope, I missed doing a H3. That's why. Okay, just change one. Looks like double Photoshop there. Just change one to Premiere Pro in Photoshop. Okay, so after that, we're going to put these bars into. Let's do this one. Okay, so we can see our three bars down here. They don't look very good at the moment because they're just all the same color. They don't have any spacing between them. So let's fix that. So we're going to copy some CSS code. Custom.css. Looking here, there should be do a search. Progress bars, paste in the code there. So .progress, .adobe, .micro, .social media. And over here we can see those classes progress. And then we can also see Adobe and micro and social media. So reflected here. So let's see what it looks like in our browser. Cool, so we've got some colors here. Have a go yourself, see if you can understand how to modify it. Let's do one together actually. Let's just modify a value. So let's say you're not so good with Adobe, just for the moment. Maybe it's more like 50% rather than 70. So I'm just changing the values that are 70 or 70%. Okay, refresh, and we can see that goes down to 50. Cool. You can change the color if you want as well. Okay. For activity 7, we're going to add some content. So we're just pasting into the second column, and I'm just going to delete the background color. Okay, and I've got too many goals here. Let me just get rid of one. Okay, so just reformatting, and then I can click on the div and I can just make sure that it matches up down here as well. So up there goes to down there, which is what we want. So let's have a look. Refresh, and there's our content over there. Okay, now I'm going to come back to the there's little numbers next to the columns. So for the About Me, this column over here on the left, we probably don't need it to be this wide. And the content over here could do with a bit more space because there's a bit more information in there. So how we can kind of format that is we can think about what I saw, or what we saw earlier that I showed you. And that was, I'll bring up the right page, this one here. So thinking about our grid columns, we've got 1 through to 12, and you can see they kind of, it applies to all the devices. Now, technically, Bootstrap is a mobile first technology, so it starts from the extra small phone size and then kind of goes up from there. But either way, they have 12 of these kind of imaginary grid columns. This is kind of what Bootstrap sticks to. So that is why if we go to our first column, which is follow the comments, so where it's got class col, we can change that to 5. And let's have a look, refresh, and we can see that this has gotten a bit shorter. This one hasn't changed. So what we can do is go down to column 2, and in this column we can put 7. So 5 and 7 make 12. So now they should balance out. And we can't really see much because I took away the color, but that has stretched out to about here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over this side. Okay, so it's really kind of quick and easy way to lay out our content. Cards. Okay, so cards, what do they look like? Let's go check out the Get Bootstrap cards page. So Get Bootstrap cards, again, this is another component. Now cards get used quite a bit. I don't know if they were in my previous example, but let's have a look. Yeah, so these would be considered cards. So in this case, they've been styled with an image, a bit of a title, and a little bit of text underneath it. So they can be styled quite differently, but essentially this kind of little block here is a card, that's a card, that's a card. So I've got like 6 going across down there. You do see them quite a bit in a lot of website design, also apps as well, use kind of card, a bit of a UI convention. So going back to our instructions, let's just kind of copy the code. So that card stuff, you know what, let's just go to Bootstrap cards, just for a bit of an example, just to show you how this documents work on Get Bootstrap. It shows you an example, and then it shows you the code. So I can simply copy this code here, which resembles this, and pop over to my my code over here. Now I think it just goes underneath the memberships, but we're just going to do a bit of a demo here, so you don't need to do this. Just going to demonstrate. Okay, so you can see this pop up here. It doesn't look as pretty as the previous example because there's no real image in there to show, and that uses a bit of a different style from the other site. But you can see here we've got like a border and a bit of information. This one even has a bit of a button as well. So let's use the one in Word in the instructions. I'm going to copy that memberships. Well, I'm going to copy the card anyway. Just make sure that you get everything. Okay, so here we go. So we've got some stylized cards. Images, heading, and like a little bit of a footer information in the card itself. Just the images, they come from the images folder or the IMG folder in here. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. You can see that these kind of are arranged systematically. So column there, one card in it. We have a second column with another card in it. We have a third column with a third card in it here. The H1s that are listed there dictate that they should all be like the same 100% height basically. So just for example, if I delete that, might need to delete all of them. So you can see here, if you wanted a bit of a system where they kind of just match up where the text ends or the content inside ends, you can leave it like that. But if you want them to be all the same, this H100 is a bootstrap class. So it's just like a little bit of a simple way to make things reach 100% in their row, in this case, or in the column card. All right, okay, so let's keep on going. We have some styling here. So this is going to add a border to our cards. Keep it neat. Cool. So we're just using our CSS, our custom CSS, our CSS file, and just like we've done before, we've just added a border. So dot card, which is the class. So we can see, get rid of the search. We can see card there, card, oh, not that one. This one here, card there, and card there. So 3 of them. So it matches up with this. So you can see that even though this is technically a bootstrap class originally, we can also use it for our own styling as well. We've just had to put this important here because it's a bootstrap class, it may be maybe ignored here. It may give preference to the bootstrap class, but we can override it with this important here. We don't always need it, but it's just a bit of the nature of cascading style sheets where they need to be specified as close as possible to the there's like a bit of a number system that kind of goes on calculation, but for the most part it's the one that kind of falls lower down in the order, gets the most priority, but there's other factors as well, and in this case the bootstrap class might be kind of overriding it, so putting the important there says no, I'm the most important, use me instead. So I think the bootstrap has like a grey border or something around it. All right, Moving on. Activity 9. So we're going to style the header along with the main and side. I'm just using the search function on the keyboard. It's Command F or Control F. So our instructions are saying add the following values to each component to ensure semantic compliance and ease of styling. So let's, for our header, I'm going to add in another Bootstrap class. So I put a space after container fluid. Put MB-3. So what does MB-3 stand for? I'm going to use a cheat sheet. So this site here I find really good. So Bootstrap 5 cheat sheet, courtesy of themeselection.com. If I'm looking up something, MB, and hit return, it gives me a few things where the MB might appear, but this one here is the one that we want, utility spacing. If I click on it, it gives me a bit of an example, and we can see that it what it does is adds some margin spacing underneath things. So 0 margin bottom spacing, 1 margin bottom spacing, and it goes down to 5 here. It's also an auto as well. Anyway, so we're going to make ours 3, so kind of a bit of a medium spacing. So the great thing about this is that it will apply to our, now we might not be able to see it because there's no kind of background there, but if we hit refresh, very hard to see, but it actually kind of applied a bit of spacing, oops, up here, sorry, spacing in here, but we can't really see it at the moment. So let's keep on going. Let's look for our aside, which is going to be underneath the header. We're going to put here so we're going to make our first column over here our aside, and we're going to make this one over here our main. So we're going to look for column 1, and just after where it says column 5, let's put aside, and down with our column down here, second column, that's going to be a main. We have some custom .css now, I believe. We don't have any anything in there at this stage, but let's put something in. Let me close that. Okay, so for our semantic styles, we'll put a header in there. Make sure we don't have a header at all. Okay, and then we'll also copy our main and our side as well. So our header is going to get an image, our main area is going to get an orange border, and our side's going to get some padding. So I'm just going to format this and pop back over to our web page and refresh. So we can see we've got that nice big image in the hero up here. No repeat. Auto kind of centers it. Well, centers it, sizes it, I should kind of say. The center centers it. So it kind of like fills in this whole area. We have a bit of padding put around here. We can see this orangey border line there. So that's created through here. We have a bit more padding and a bit more padding and margin as well. So looking much nicer just with that little bit of code there. So applying to the header, the main, and the aside. So there was some more code there. I'll just kind of explain what that does. So I'm going to the inspect, so right click inspect. Keep in mind I'm on Firefox, so I want you to look for a little button that looks like two devices. On Firefox it's on the right hand side, on Chrome it's over on the left hand side. I'm going to hit that little button there and I'm going to choose, I'll leave it on Galaxy, just so you know, I'm just picking a typical phone. It doesn't have to be anything particular, but you can see they changed just a little bit. But just for the moment, I don't know, let's go with the iPhone. Okay. So you can see when I'm on this page, we've kind of got this bit of a not so great look where our columns are way too small. So we're on a mobile device. We've got our header up here, and these columns, they shouldn't be like this. They should kind of like, this can kind of fill up the whole width, and this here should fill up the whole width as well, but one be on top of the other. So how we do that is through breakpoints. So coming back to the grid, everything is going to be 12 grid columns, but what we can do is using, if I scroll down here a little bit further, grid options, layout grid, we've got this table here. So it looks at an extra small screen size, so mobile phones, small, which is kind of a bigger mobile phone, medium, maybe a phone on its side or a small tablet, large could be a tablet, laptop, desktop, and maybe, I don't know, TV screen or something like that. So you can see they've got some widths in there in regards to how wide they might be in pixels. They also have these class prefixes as well. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. So we can see here, extra small is just column with a dash. Small is just column or col with a dash small. So they should actually join up. I've just got it zoomed in at the moment. Then we have this one with a medium, MD, this one with a large, LG, this one with a XL, extra large, and extra large over here. So we can use those in conjunction with our idea that we've got these 12 grid columns. So what does that mean? Let's come back here, back to our index and our first visual column. So I'm trying to make a distinction between what we see as a column, a visual column. So that's a visual column, and this is a visual column as well. When I say grid column, I'm talking more this aspect here. So each one of those is a grid column, so it's 12 going across. Hopefully that kind of makes a little bit of sense. Our instructions say col small 12, col medium 5. So what we can do is, let's just put a cursor here and let's do a col small 12 and just edit this one here with col-5 to be col-MD for medium. Oops. And same for down here. Modify this col. So I'm doing was it 12 and this one was medium, -7, just make sure I balance those up. We don't even need the small in there. Let's try this. Yeah, there we go. So we really don't even need the small in there. So that's starting from our extra small. This goes to our medium. So over here we can see now we have a bit of a mobile solution. So it's not perfect, but everything kind of scrolls down on a mobile screen, which is great. If I change this to, I can do it from here. If you're in a Chrome, to do what I'm going to do, you might need to choose, there's an option here for responsive. But on Firefox, I can just click on the side here and drag it out. And you can see as I do that, it jumps at this point there back to 2 columns. So what's happening is that medium, this is a medium breakpoint about here. It then changes to, hey, let's make this one 5 and this visual column here is 7. And then it stays like that as we scale up to like desktop and large. Remember, mobile first, goes up from there. Okay, so let's keep on going. Okay, navigation. So we're going to add some linking and PDF as well. So index.html, let's look for our H2 tags. So I'm going to search and then H2. So we can see the first one we've got here is ID equals, and in there it's about. Here, skills, ID, skills, and I'm just typing in a word lowercase that kind of matches the, oops, did I miss one? Okay. That matches the word here. So this one's already done. Education, ID work, ID membership, and that should be all of them. Great. So going back up to our nav, which starts here, we need to copy in some code. So at the moment, we don't have a menu. Let me just close that. Let's get rid of the inspect. So at the top, we're going to put a menu. Again, a navigation is available from Get Bootstrap. I'm going to just copy this one over here. Okay, so navbar start and navbar end down there. And let's just reformat that to make it neat. There we go. So let's see what that looks like. Cool, so a bit of a navigation up here. It's already been styled for us too, which is nice. And when we click on each one of those, they should go down to a different point down here. It may look a bit strange, or not look a bit strange, but just depending on your screen size or web browser viewport size, I guess. See, mine's a bit of a tall format, so it might not be working exactly right, or something else that's probably not a great thing to do. It's okay for an example, but see where it's got about me over here. It takes us down to there. If I go down to skills, it takes us there. Hit education, it goes back up there. So it may look a little bit unordered, but it does make sense. But it just kind of in this kind of format just jumps around, or seems to jump around a little bit, but it actually does make sense. So let's go back to our instructions. And the way it's working is that we've got our, starting from the top here, this one here, we've got our skills. So that's our hash skills for skills. So that's in the menu up here. And what's happening is that, well, actually technically we've got the about first. So about, hash about, that's it up there. When we click on it, what it's doing is it's taking us down to where the about is with the ID, which happens to be that there. So it goes to the top there. So really good way to kind of create a navigation. Okay, let's do a bit of a brand. So make that navbar up here a bit of a bit more interesting. Okay, let me copy that whole thing. Looks like we're kind of missing some stuff here, but that's okay. So let's just, I'm copying over the navbar and the closing A tag, which is kind of missing the beginning part there. Something to look out for. Sometimes there's little testing parts in here. Let's save that and go to our browser, refresh, and we've got a little cool icon up there. And that's kind of connected to our custom.css. Okay, so that's our navbar, that orange thing up there. And the navbar brand is the white. So, and you can see there's a pointer cursor. So when I roll over the little icon, it changes to a hand rather than a little pointer arrow thing. Cool, so that there's kind of already been put in. White kind of changes the size down here. We can see navbar brand hover, pseudo class. Background white, padding 5 pixels, border radius. So, yeah. Cool little effect. All right. Something else here. This kind of just helps with kind of knowing the position on the page when jumping around with the menu. It's called Scroll Spy. And I'm going to put this into where the div class container is. So scrolling down. Okay, so our side and our main down here. Highlight that, and I'm just pasting. Oops, didn't copy. Do that again. Copy. Paste it in. So we've got our div, and we've got like a little bit of scripting, not scripting, but it just kind of uses some data stuff here to kind of track where things are on the page, scrolling wise. It actually kind of, as we go down, see how it highlights? So just measures our position. Okay, now we need to fix that link. We're going to, let's just fix that up. So navigation, why is that not working? Resume. So it's saying file not found. So let's just double check the naming of it first. So in my Explorer, Bart Simpson resume. Now don't worry, it's not going to show up here because VS Code can't read PDFs. So just making sure the name is correct with what's in my HTML. And you can see the problem, it's not. So Bart Simpson underscore resume underscore 2024.pdf. Down here, it's something else. Bart Simpson underscore resume underscore 2023. Let's try and fix that. Save. Refresh. Ta-da. That works. There we go. So always don't panic if something doesn't work. Just try and think your way through it a little bit. But then you can always ask someone, talk to a friend, talk to a teacher. ask for help. Okay, so fix that up. Coming down here to inserting a button. Okay, so this is going to go in the footer. So I'm going to copy this. And we're going to put it into the, what's it asking for here? Into the footer where the instructions are. So let's have a look. Button. All right, let's just paste it in. Let's just clean that up a little bit. There we go. So paste that in. Just going to format and refresh. Cool. So down the bottom, I know it's quite down the bottom, but we've got a button here saying want to see my resume, bit of a call to action, and looks like we've got a problem still because this one needs to be updated as well. So let's try that again. Refresh. There we go. That works. Cool. Pretty good. So buttons are good. We can style it. We've got some button CSS here. So let's pop that over to the CSS and look for the button comments. So I can see that here. Paste it in. Just going to format this. So it's going to give a border of a solid orange. It's going to have a background of orange. The text is going to be a white color. The anchor is going to be white, and the hover is going to be orange, and no decoration. So let's see what that looks like. Refresh. Refresh. Okay, so why is that not working? We've got grey when we should be seeing orange. So going back to our index.html, and let's have a look. Button. Okay, there's button, but that's an element. We need the class. Okay, so there we go. So btn, not the word button. Let's try that. And let's copy that, put it down here, and down here, refresh, there we go. Cool, so the hover is going to be just the default, which is grey, but our button is now orange, which is good. Yeah. Okay, so let's keep on going. I think we're almost at the end. I'm almost ready to. This is my third one, so yep. Let's finish it off. The fave icon. I'm going to let you guys do that. We did that in our last lesson. See if you can give that a go yourself. It's not too hard. Just go to the faveicon.io. The tricky part is to making sure that this is correct. I think this might be a little bit different from our last lesson where we had images. This one doesn't need it, but see if you can work that out and chat to your tech buddy if you need to. There's a bit of a team challenge there you can try with your tech buddies. And then there's the validating files as well. So by now you should be validating the files. I'm going to leave that up to you to check, but make sure you do that every time to finish off your site. Excellent. Some homework for module 3.1. Keep in mind you're going to be using this site as what we call a template to build your resume site. That's due at the end of module 3, which is like quite a lot of work. I'm not going to beat around the bush there. It's going to be a bit of work to do. You should have most of the information you need now to do that. Otherwise, remember to keep reading through Rise, the learning material. That's really, really, really important. Do the LinkedIn learnings as well, and then you'll have the knowledge that you need to customize the file. All right, that's it from me. Thank you very much, and I'll chat to you later.